Welcome to RebelsCast. I'm Jonathan. Nearly today is Nicki.
Hello.
Nick.
How's it going, everyone?
And Josh.
What's up?
And
Straight from the 90s.
Right. Yeah. And so today we're discussing Droids in Distress, and it was written by Stuart Lee and directed by Stuart Lee and written by Greg Weisman.
All right.
So, what were your general thoughts about this episode, guys?
Let me think. Like, this is the most, like, since 3PO was a big part of this episode, I definitely thought he was the most 3PO he has been since original trilogy 3PO.
Nice.
I actually thought, like, and I guess maybe it was because of the mind wipe.
Right.
So, he's kind of slightly different personality wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was my big takeaway from the episode was all the 3PO and kind of the 3PO being like, kind of the catalyst for why everything goes bad.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nothing changes, does it? I was just a little surprised he was working for the Empire in some respect.
Yeah.
I was like, R2, have you not told him?
And that was what was neat was that there's a couple of times there, like because I've watched the episode, I think I watched it twice. I know I watched at least part of it twice, but where it's sort of at the transition of a scene or something along those lines, and you can hear in the background 3PO saying to R2, "What are you talking about? Secret mission?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And so then once you've seen the whole episode, you go, oh, okay, so this was the plan all along, and this is why Bail Organa probably loaned his droids out to begin with, is because he's working with R2. And for me, that was the other takeaway from this episode, was that last scene with Bail Organa, the part with Kanan, and then just the part with R2, but especially that part with R2 when he's talking about him being his old friend, and he's like, okay, show me these rebels. Yeah. And I was watching it on my lunch break at work, and I was like, I have my headphones on, and so I'm sitting there at my desk watching it, and when I get really excited, like when
you just started hitting your chair?
Yes, I did. You know me. When I get really excited, like when the Jules Verne time train shows up at the end of Back to the Future 3, because I distinctly remember doing this when that happened. The little dudes. I will start like hitting my arms, just like a person with problems, but like like beating the arms of my chair. Like, yes, that's so awesome. You know what I'm talking about. When you describe it, it sounds like I'm crazy, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is so great. Just the fact that Bail Organa has been doing rebellion type stuff, that R2 is almost like a secret agent, in a sense, that's sort of doing these things for Bail Organa with the rebellion. I mean, that was just excellent. Yep. And the fact that even though Phil Lamar gives
a little bit too much of this, man.
Gives a little bit man of the Jamaican accent to Bail Organa, and I don't know why. Still, the fact that it was Phil Lamar as Bail Organa, continuing, having that continuity voice actor-wise with the Clone Wars again, it was like, you know what? I don't even care that unnecessarily he's Jamaican. I'm just glad to hear you again,
Didn't he voice Jazz in Transformers Animated?
It may have been. He does a lot of stuff, yeah.
You can't keep track of Phil Lamar's.
He was Vamp in Metal Gear Solid 2.
He's like Maurice LaMarche, you just can't keep track of him.
Egon. Oh, yeah. Excellent. But yeah, so that whole deal was great to me, because there were other parts of the episode where I was like, I'm enjoying this, but and like the stuff with Zeb was good, but for me, I was like, okay, I could see how people might make criticisms, and in this episode more than the other one, there were times when I'm like, yeah, I not that I'm complaining, but I can see where people might complain about X or Y or Z or that sort of thing. And I was enjoying the episode, and the droids and everything was great. But then that last scene happened, and with Bail Organa making the Jedi quote, and Kanan kind of reacting the way he did, and then it being right up there with R2, and then show me these rebels, and it's like, it's really happening. The rebellion is forming. I was like, out the park, just knocked it out the park.
So when did you start like hitting your chair? Was it when you saw the back of his head? Because that's where I started getting happy. Because I was okay, I know who that is.
Yeah, well, that's when I started getting happy. When they showed the shot of the Tantive, I got excited. Because I'm like, come on, you got to show me Bail Organa, because that's who he was left with. Who they were left with. I mean, I know technically Captain Antilles, but Bail Organa's got to show up. This is gonna be great, and he does. And I'm all excited, like this is great. But it's actually the very last thing when he's like, show me what you've learned about these rebels. And that was the moment I started hitting the chair, because I'm like, it's like they're rebels. It's really happening. So that was the moment of a freak out for me.
Yeah, I love seeing the Tantive 4. I thought it was nice to have a little, reminiscing moment about my beloved original trilogy. And I love Anthony Daniels so much that every moment that C-3PO is on screen, I absolutely adore. Because I love that he's the only person who has ever played C-3PO.
Yeah.
Whereas all these other characters have been played by so many different actors, voiceovers, audio plays. But no, Anthony Daniels is always C-3PO.
He's really the most committed out there. And even to the point of, I will not, just voice the suit. Like in the live action Star Wars, I will not just voice it. I will actually get in the suit.
Right.
Even Episode 7, I know he's going to be in the suit.
Yeah.
Didn't he kind of recently rag on the prequels a little bit though?
Well, he said something about
that kind of disappointed me.
Yeah, what he said was that there were some parts in the prequels when 3PO was CG,
right?
And that the mannerisms just weren't quite spot on,
right?
So
he had some problems with that, but I think any actor is very protective of a character, especially the one that made him an icon.
Yeah, and to some extent, I'll agree. Like and I'm thinking of Attack of the Clones, and I'm thinking of in the Droid Foundry.
Right.
There's some like the way when he walks onto the conveyor belt and things like that. Yeah, it wasn't exactly the way that Anthony Daniels would do it.
Right.
So
but
I think
the way they had to do it because of the logistics.
I mean, there was no way they could build a giant floating robot. They could grab Anthony Daniels up by the head, and shake him around. So some things had to be done CG.
Right. Well, like in Phantom Menace when he was,
naked.
He was naked.
Exactly naked.
But Anthony Daniels was behind him and he was manipulating the C-3PO puppet. So it still had his movements. And I thought that was a real commitment from both him and George to make sure that C-3PO was played the right way.
Maybe the solution
by the right actor.
Yeah, I wonder if the solution in Attack of the Clones then, I was just thinking about it as you're saying that since in episode 1 he was doing the puppeteering and it kind of gave him the mannerisms. Yeah, maybe if they mocapped him in episode 2, but that was one thing that for whatever reason ILM, and I don't know if this was an ILM thing or if it was a George thing, mocap wasn't really something that they were interested in. I mean, it was all sort of keyframe animation, which I know people debate about that. I think both approaches probably have merits. I gotta say, the animation of the clones in Attack of the Clones,
excellent.
I mean, there are still shots where, you can go to someone that's never seen it and be like, that's CG.
Well, I've said it on the Clonecast before, but until it was after episode 3 was released, I didn't know they were CG.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Because they just did it.
Now, the third one, I think they look a little bit more CG-y
for some
than
reason,
they do in the second movie.
Yeah, the second one, it was just mind-blowing. But so, I mean, Anthony Daniels didn't get to mocap in those scenes, but still, it's funny. I remember one video game, and there may have been others, but there's one video game. Anybody remember? Or this is just me showing how old I am. That the game, I think it was called Star Wars Rebellion. That's okay. So Star Wars Rebellion, it's sort of a strategy game, and you were in this command center with R2 and 3PO, and 3PO talked to you, and it was not Anthony Daniels. And since Anthony Daniels, even at that point, it's you don't hear 3PO much without it being him, so it was like, that's weird, you're fake, stop talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, that whole game was... Oh, go ahead.
That game didn't last very long.
Man, I played it all the time in college. Because we had a dorm room. We had a dorm room in college.
No!
We were in a suite. It was me and another guy in one room, and then 2 other guys, and we had a living room that we shared, and the RA on our floor was he was a couple of years older than us, but he was a friend of ours, and he liked computer games, and I had my computer there at school, and we had that game, and that was one that we played a lot. So... it was one that I stuck with for a while. And but it was kind of alternate reality because you're getting characters at different times and it was fun. And even now I'm like, man, I need to pull that out and play it on DOSBox. But anyway, Rebels. So yeah, sorry.
Rob, I really love the episode because my favorite part was seeing Chopper and R2 together.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah,
because it was like sibling rivalry. And I love when Chopper puts his little hands up and he was like, to R2. And R2's like, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to step off.
You little midget.
He's like, he's not having any of it. Because R2's like, you have no idea. I'm going to save the Empire someday.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Yeah. It was yet another moment. It's like George has said, really, the droids are maybe above and beyond anybody else. And R2 in particular, the savior of Star Wars. And indeed, in every Star Wars film, there's some moment there where if it weren't for R2, everything would be lost. Yep. And now it kind of, if it really does turn out that this gang on the Ghost really are the ones that start the rebellion, and R2 finding them and hooking them up in some way with Bail Organa, well, then once again, R2 has done it. Yep. If it weren't for R2, there would be no rebellion. Yep. So R2-D2
I think the rebellion's probably been going on since the Senate fell.
Well, yeah, but I just in the sense of the
thing that really gets them fighting back.
Yeah, the promotion for the show is that this is really the spark of rebellion, and this is when the rebellion, in a real sense, gets going.
I think it's when we start getting the rebellion more open.
Yeah, exactly. And
because I love seeing, like, there's a few times we got to see the symbol of the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I really thought that, maybe that's like a signal to other people in the rebellion. And it is similar to the symbol of the Jedi.
Right.
In some ways.
It's also like a symbol of, like, we're here. Just like in the last episode where they,
not going anywhere.
Callus, is like, he kind of sees the chalk on the ground. He's like, take cover. It's just kind of, and I think it's something that Sabine probably leaves around, everywhere they go. And then when they get away, boom. And kind of like when
go ahead.
No, kind of like when I was going to say, like, kind of like when V, from V for Vendetta leaves his, V.
Yeah, or like when Marv turns on the water, in the bathrooms. Home Alone 2, The Wet Bandits. Or was it 1?
The Wet Bandits.
The Wet Bandits. Y'all know Home Alone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Someone does. Sorry, that just popped in my brain. The Home Alone movies, scored by John Williams.
Oh yeah. I think probably my favorite part of the episode really was the shuttle, and just seeing, like, Chopper. Just for some reason, I don't really know why he's bugging Ezra. It's not like Ezra can, like, because it's not like Chopper can get on that seat or anything. He's just poking Ezra, And even though you hear all the sounds around us, everyone else talking, all this other animation, and you just hear in this little corner, just Chopper, ding, 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 just tapping at him.
I think he was doing it because they needed a distraction. They needed to create a diversion, and I think that they had set that up. That's what I took, was they had set that up.
Yeah, the way I read it was
that it was...
to
separate the droids from...
Yeah, it was
to get 3PO.
Yeah, to cause trouble with a droid so that Kanan could complain about this random droid that was causing trouble to make them say, well, okay, the droid's got to go to the back, and if one droid goes to the back, they all got to go to the back, and that way... So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I read it. It was the way to get Rex, to get Pee Wee Herman to be like, hey, everybody's got to go to the back, which I thought was really neat. It took me a partial way through the episode before I realized, wait, that's
Rubens.
That's the Rex character from Star Tours.
Star Tours.
But then it wasn't until the closing credits that I saw they actually got Paul to reprise the role, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so excited when they get on the shuttle, and I'm like, this looks familiar, because I've ridden this ride hundreds and hundreds of times. And then to see that model droid turn around And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was a
And
nice
I have a
little
little
moment.
action figure of Captain Rex from Star Tours, and I was just like, oh, I'm so happy that I love when they pay respect and pay homage to the past and to where they came from, and it made me so happy, and I could definitely tell that was Paul Rubin's voice. His
I was slow. I was slow on that one, but I was like, "That's really good."
I've ridden that ride so many times because I've
never ridden
10
it.
minutes from Disneyland.
Oh, stop bragging! You know how close we are to Disneyland in
there
Alabama?
About 12 hours.
For real?
Well, no. We're from 12 hours from Disney World.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Land
Yeah,
is
you're close
far
to Disney
away.
World.
Yeah.
But but I don't live there now. But up until 5 years ago, I was 10 minutes from Disneyland.
Oh,
God, I miss it.
go hang out with Walt's brain. You know.
My grandfather used to work for Disney World.
That's right. Josh's grandfather used to work for Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
So basically,
I have no idea what he did, though. I can't remember.
yeah. But so basically, what that means is that you work for Lucasfilm now. That's how it works. Yeah, because your dad worked for Star or Disney World, Disney Star. Yeah. So basically, you're George
It's
Lucas.
all connected.
Yeah. That's how we reason in Alabama.
Yeah.
That's how we think.
And it works every time.
All day.
70% of the time, every time.
Has real bits of Panther in it.
I'm not going to lie. That smells like straight gasoline.
You know, I think, like you said, the diversion and stuff that, you know, Sabine, you know, I always thought, as far as languages, I always figured, you know, like Wookiees, they can easily understand you, but you can't understand them. So I was always kind of wondering, like, it was kind of weird how, you know, like the minister didn't really know, why are you talking in his language? You just need to interpret what he says.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and that was the whole kind of, the minister's just kind of totally clueless. You know, oh, okay, I'll just believe what you
Well,
said.
that's also the arrogance of the empire.
Yeah.
It's like the arrogance of, you know, of a lot of Americans who travel to foreign countries and expect everybody to be able to speak English just for them. And I think that's, you know, it's where we get the whole ugly American stereotype. I think the empire is, you know, they're the ugly empire in that they want everything their way. And if you don't do it the way they think it should be done, well, rubber stamp you and out you go.
Right.
And get 7 signatures before they do.
Yes. And I do wonder if, you know, I suppose, you know, if he understood English, he would have been like, hey, wait, Sabine, she just translated incorrectly.
Right.
You know?
Right. It wasn't until he saw the numbers that he realized, but then the good excuse was, well, 7 and 17 are very similar in that language.
Right.
So I thought that was cool. But yeah, I thought if he had understood BASIC, he would have been going, wait, no. And she could have translated that as something. Oh, well, he's just excited to meet you, kind of thing like that. He's excited about this deal. But they've done that in so many different other things, like mistranslating on purpose and covering up. I think it was the smart way to go.
Yeah.
Because not everybody should understand BASIC.
Yeah, and it's nice to actually have it a case where the translator has to translate both ways, because Star Wars never does that, so it was a different thing than usual.
Yeah,
and I think another interesting thing is that, you know, of course, since it's a kids cartoon, they're not really ever going, you know, a cartoon, you know, they're not really going to do subtitles, unlike in the films. You know, they could like in the movie they would be like, they would give his like proper translation, but she would still translate it, but translate it wrong.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I like no subtitles, because the only time we ever really got subtitles was like Greedo and Jabba. We never got subtitles for Chewbacca.
Right. True.
Which I thought was cool, because it would be so much to read. I mean, he could have been espousing Shakespeare or Foucault or Jean-Paul Sartre or anything. Wookiee philosophy. And Han is like, yeah, laugh it up, fuzzball.
My good man Han, let us reconsider the course of action which you are pursuing. This really does not seem to be, when one thinks about it from an existential point of view, the most rational course of action. Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Who knows what he was saying? I mean, I think sometimes, I think 3PO learned that he was not supposed to say anything about it.
That's right.
I still wonder what Chopper was saying, how, you know, Chopper and R2 were kind of having their little argument. And, you know, when you look at, you know, R2, he seems like, you know, he's kind of a more modern day, nice looking droid. And you have Chopper, who's just like noise, you know. And C-3PO, he's there. He was like, yeah, you can learn a lot from this guy, and it's just almost like he's so, expressed his frustration with R2 that he's like going to go, say you could be a lot like him, and shake around and stuff, and I think they showed us a little bit of that several months ago of R2 and Chopper kind of like hitting each other.
Yeah, there's going to be a kind of, there are different models of astromech droids. There's probably, but I think it's so cool the way they give them personality where they're droids, and most droids don't have a personality because they're not people, so they can't. But I think that's something that George Lucas was very smart about, was that he made them actual characters that are integral to the story, and not just because that they carried a message or they were a translator. It's like, no, they actually have opinions. I mean, R2 is the most opinionated character in the movies.
And apparently foul-mouthed because 3PO tells him to watch his language.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that's one of the reasons he's my third favorite character in all of Star Wars. Because R2 is awesome.
Did y'all see, speaking of that real quick, did y'all see, was it David Fincher, however you pronounce his name? Fincher? Yeah, like a Finch, but then Fincher. Anyway, so he apparently was interviewed and about Star Wars movies and Star Wars stuff, and he said that to him, he always felt like the Star Wars movies were about slavery and like the idiocy of man, that like the droids are slaves, and it's this whole thing is where they go as these slaves, and we see on display the failings of humans.
That's true, Nick.
And I'm like, Mr. Fincher, you do not need to direct a Star Wars movie. At least you certainly don't need to write one. No,
are you kidding? If David Fincher directed a Star Wars movie, it would be the darkest, most depressing.
It would be non-Star Wars.
There's one rule, and it would be like, there's 2 rules in Star Wars. When we don't talk about Star Wars.
We don't talk about Droid Fight Club.
Fight Club. Right. It would be like Fight Club. It would be Alien Resurrection. It would be
Alien
Gone
3.
Girl.
Yeah. Alien.
He was Alien 3?
Yeah.
I thought it was Alien. Okay, Alien. I don't really know those films that well. But yeah, I mean, David Fincher is the exact wrong person to direct Star Wars. Because Star Wars has to appeal to many age levels.
Right.
And he does not.
So just
like
only other people
he
actually
produces House
that.
of Cards. You don't want that in a Star Wars film.
Yeah. If only other people understood the fact that Star Wars needs to appeal to a broad audience.
Yeah.
Rather than just people who grew up, with it back when it originally, got
It's like now I like
insipid.
Yeah, now I like deep, heavy stuff. So I need deep, heavy
Star Wars.
Gritty, edgy, deep, heavy Star Wars.
Yeah.
Deep, gritty, edgy, heavy directors to direct it. It's like just because someone is talented and just because someone's work is well liked,
JJ Abrams
does not mean that they should necessarily be in charge of Star Wars.
JJ Abrams.
Right.
Okay.
We're not.
Jonathan's like, I've heard this before.
They're gonna start it again. Mom, they're on a different podcast. They're doing it. They're even doing the bit about where I'm talking to you, Mom.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this episode was just kind of further expanded, what these guys are like. And, and at the beginning, we can kind of tell that they've kind of been together for a little while because, he's like, I want to start Jedi training,
Right.
So we could think it's going to be probably at least a few weeks since they've been, and he kind of has, he's probably been on a few missions and still kind of annoyed, kind of frustrated,
Yeah. I wish that Kanan would have been like, hey, you know what'll make you feel better? Go listen to that Obi-Wan message again.
Yeah.
But that's just because I like that part.
Yeah, because we want to hear the Obi-Wan
we want to hear the Obi-Wan part. Maybe there's more Obi-Wan stuff.
I want to hear more. I want to know if there's more in that hologram. Holocron.
It's funny. I mean, James feels like Obi-Wan to me. I mean, he's been the character. He's voiced the character more than anybody else has. Yeah. But there was something about seeing him as Obi-Wan in a different animation style that in some way even solidified more in my mind. It's like, yep, that's how Obi-Wan sounds, Yeah.
I
mean, now that having been said, live action, if you want to get Ewan McGregor back, as I've talked before, that'd be awesome.
Ewan McGregor back, voiced by James Earl Taylor.
Overdub with James Earl Taylor.
No. I want the real Ewan voice.
Yeah, that'd be like weird, surreal. just disconcerting. But yeah, it was just a nice moment. We didn't actually get any. I mean, we got Bail Organa. But he is a prequel character, even though he was mentioned in the original. So we actually didn't get a call out, to an original trilogy character, except for the droids, who were pretty prominent in this episode. So far we've had 2 episodes, and we've had classic characters in both episodes. I wonder when we'll get an episode in which there are none. I'm not complaining. I just wonder, like, will the next episode be that way? Will it? How often will we get these references? These older classic characters showing up. I don't know.
Right. I think if they did it every once in a while, it would be fine. But don't make that something that we have to rely on.
Yeah, don't make it a crutch.
Don't make it. Oh well, we're gonna bring in every episode a new Star Wars character. No, make them surprises. Make them fit the episode. Don't have like R2 and 3PO. They absolutely fit into that episode.
Yeah.
They didn't. They were just there to be there, and that's what my fear about a lot of times is that we're bringing in this character just because we can.
Yeah. We don't need our Avengers reference for the episode.
Hey. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, and I think and in this episode, of course, we got a little, more taste of the Empire, and we learn more about Zeb and his people. They're called the
Latats.
Lasats.
Yeah, it's called Lasan.
Lasats.
The species is Lasan, and their homeworld is Lasan.
Lasat. Yeah. I knew it was one of those.
The Zabrovians. Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's from the neighbors.
So we do kind of get like a, so before he was all this, kind of sarcastic, groany guy, but when he sees those disruptors, he immediately turns frown faced.
No, that look on his face. I mean, even in animation, they got the point across. That's not a good thing. That those things exist, and he was petrified. And
at first, he was afraid.
First, he was afraid. Then he was petrified, and then he thought he couldn't live with. With
there you go. You got it.
But I loved hearing about he was part of this honor guard, and I liked learning more about his character. I think I read some of it, but I liked seeing that this was, he was very important on his planet. He has a morality. He has, a depth of emotion that I didn't expect he would have. And I really liked him a whole lot more. Even though I really loved him in the first episode, I developed much more of a heart for him.
I really like the weapon he was using.
Oh, yeah.
And
looks like it's got some tech from the Magna Guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And it looks like in Star Wars, they kind of have this thing where, you have someone has some really good technology, and they decide to kind of take it, like Grievous. He kind of, he was a warrior, at least in the EU, but he took, he kind of learned how to use Jedi. He learned how to use lightsabers, and he kind of stole them from each people, and he kind of made his own
trophies,
guards, and then here we have Cutlass. Cutlass. He has one of these weapons, and now he's the one that killed his people to get it, and they get this kind of honorable guard, and it was like, you don't deserve to use that weapon,
Yeah, there was something I want to say. I did actually look at what people were saying on the Force.net message boards a little bit for this episode, but I should have written some things down. There were some complaints, and there was something about that. I mean, I want to say a couple people thought that it was just kind of convenient, that this guy's people were killed and that this guy was the guy that gave the order and that sort of thing, which, I mean, the reality is with when you're talking about fictional stories on this scale, where you're talking about, thousands of planets, anytime you're going to have characters that show up more than once, it's going to, in a sense, have to be a contrived coincidence.
Right.
So I think you just kind of have to overlook those sorts of things, because if you do it realistically, no one will ever meet anybody twice. Because there's just so many people out there. So, I mean, it was one of those things. It's like, okay, it kind of gives up personal stakes for Zeb. It, makes Zeb more sympathetic. And then when his fight against Callus becomes more, we get more emotionally invested in it because he's emotionally invested in it. Not just this is a guy who's a part of the Empire that represents, this entity that killed all my people, but that dude was the guy. He's the guy.
Nick,
so yeah.
Nick, Nicki has to go. So
Okay.
Nicki, what are your some of your final thoughts on this episode?
I thought it was a really strong episode. I love, seeing Callus again. I always have a soft spot for 3PO and R2, especially R2, because I think that they are two of the most important characters in all of Star Wars. I thought it was a strong episode. Good storytelling, good character development. I'm looking forward to the next one even more than I thought I would be.
All right.
Okay, guys. I will see you all later.
All right.
Enjoy your evening.
Yes.
Oh, I will try. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Can't wait to hear it.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
Peace. Later.
Now it's just a bunch of silly boys on here.
Oh, it's all the testosterone. I'm leaving you.
Wait, you're still here!
I'm trying to sign off. Leave me alone. Okay, I'm hanging up now. Bye.
Now it's just a bunch of boys?
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's not a good thing. I like the balance. But now that it's a bunch of boys, all right, let's talk about flatulent humor.
Let's talk about flatulent humor, ham sandwiches, steaks, and hamburgers.
Meat. Brisket. Brisket. On a sandwich. Sorry, the Arby's commercials.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
So we do kind of get this thing where it's I am really interested that, whenever these two kind of groups because, C-3PO is I like how he's kind of always being dragged around by R2.
Yeah.
He tries to be the responsible one, but it's always really R2 that has the secret mission.
Mm-hmm.
He's dragging 3PO on. You know what I mean? And he kind of refuses. I'm not going to tell you about everything that's happened in the last 20 years,
You don't realize this, but Darth Vader's your daddy.
Right.
And we did a whole bunch of stuff that you don't even remember.
Yeah.
Your first task was not working with binary load lifters, as a matter of fact. Your first job was helping a little boy win a pod race.
Right. And it was so wizard.
It was so wizard. But you don't remember any of that.
And you held a flag.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You held a flag. You were in a parade.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, I would never hold a flag. It's so beneath me. And you were naked in front of everybody.
Everybody in that house.
Everybody. There was an entire coliseum full of racing fans, and you were naked holding a flag. That's someone's nightmare.
Right? Naked holding the flag. It really is, yeah.
I was naked and I was holding a flag. I was really bad, and I was making meth, and there was this guy.
You have a confidence problem.
That's right. But yeah, 3PO definitely, your heart goes out to him. But it was funny too, there was a theme that John Williams used. It was really just a little brief thing that John did in Empire when Luke and R2 went to Dagobah to find Yoda, and R2 was down in the water, and he poked his head up with the little periscope, and there's this kind of cute little theme.
He's doing a lot of that.
And Kevin took that and said, let's kind of make that a droid theme.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, it worked. What's funny, though, is Empire Strikes Back actually has a droid theme. Mm-hmm. There's a little droid, maybe theme is too, but at least a little motif. Yeah. But John only used it for Empire. But it's interesting that Kevin took another bit and sort of made a theme out of it, but it worked really well.
What did you think about the Hoth battle, music when the walkers showed up?
I thought, that was one of those things I thought I could see where people could complain about this if you go too far with it, and being like, oh man, it's walkers again, but it was done slightly differently. And then from a plot standpoint, it makes sense that they would have walkers. Yeah. And Kevin sort of referenced the Hoth music, but he didn't just fully ape it.
No.
So, and the way that he took what source material he was using and tweaked it and played around with it, I thought was effective. Mm-hmm. So that was one of those moments I'm like, I could see people can complain from a plot standpoint and from a music standpoint, but I was fine with it.
Yeah. So was I.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me. I mean, I definitely liked. I think it's interesting is that it's not like we've gotten far, a lot farther away from the prequel era of the different technology, and we're getting closer, but still everything's not the same. The little chicken walkers, they don't look like they did in the originals. They still kind of have that like circle shape, kind of the round kind of shape, because by the originals, the walker, everything's very everything's boxy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a combination.
Yeah, like the little walkers that were on Kashyyyk in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take that, you compare those with the ATSTs in Empire, and then what we saw in the episode was kind of a little hybrid between the two. So
I did like how Hera said, she kind of goes up to it and just starts shooting the blaster and what are you doing? Are you really gonna hit it, or are you just being like a decoy? Or something, I suppose. But I did like the Kanan, we definitely saw with those how powerful those weapons, those guns were.
I forgot what they called them. I think they had something like Ion or something. But yeah, I mean that definitely
disruptors. They're called disruptors. Yeah, they kind of they disrupt they don't blow it up. They just kind of turn the machine off.
Yeah, kind of the way that ion cannons worked in
X-Wing and TIE
Fighter. Yeah. Yes. Which is, whenever I see people flying an X-Wing in a Star Wars movie or something I know how to work that.
Yeah, I know exactly how that works.
Do you have what's your recharge rate on your lasers versus your shields versus your engines?
Yeah.
But anyway, of course, and it's funny being real old school. When they're shooting at the walkers, I'm like, you gotta wait for that one little glowing bit, and then you hit that one little glowing bit, and it'll blow up, and then the Obi-Wan music will start to play, and your ship will glow purple, and that means you're invincible.
Exactly.
Atari 2600, right on. Did you ever play that, Jonathan?
No.
Atari. There was You're like, I can't imagine. Yeah, it was Atari 2600.
I've heard of Atari.
Wow. I'm so old. Yeah, on the Atari 2600, there was a Empire Strikes Back game. I had it.
Wait, now, are you talking about the one with the walker, the one where you're doing the battle?
Yeah, it was. The game was Empire Strikes Back, but it was only the walker scene.
Only
is the only part of the game that it actually, only part of the film that the game represented.
Yeah.
And it was an infinite number of walkers, which kind of makes sense because obviously the base has to fall at some point. But anyway, so yeah, the technology there was nice in Rebels. So I like that. I thought that was good.
Yeah, I love how all these little small technologies take out something big, and I think that's kind of a reason why I can understand why they said they banned the disruptor.
Yeah.
They banned these weapons, but the minister is going to pick them up, I think.
Yeah,
which
I mean, I think that's kind of what I got too. Yeah. So I sort of took it as the Empire can't even follow its own regulations. They'll and maybe they'll make laws that sound good. We'll appease the few pacifists that are out there. We'll throw them a bone by being like, oh, we can't use these weapons, but even though we've outlawed it, we're secretly going to use it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I took it. That it was they can't even be trusted with themselves. So.
Corruption.
Yeah, exactly. Which only makes sense because that's how Palpatine rose to power, was by sort of feeding that corruption in the bureaucracy. And so probably the sorts of people that he would want to have in place in the government would be bureaucrats again.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of, that's his deal. So, it's interesting that they had these, it's funny that they would even say, okay, we're going to ban this sort of thing. But, like I say, that's the Empire for you.
Yeah, I do like that, Sabine, and you can kind of tell that, Sabine is total deception, and I can kind of see, her kind of, hitting Zeb in the side,
Right.
And I would definitely like to see, Sabine pull out some of these other kind of deception kind of things, level 5, Academy exam, it's just
yeah, she's pretty good at thinking on her feet. I mean, that's I'm looking forward to a Sabine-centered episode.
Yeah.
For what you're talking about, Jonathan, and just in general to sort of see, what she can do and what's her background, what happened in the Mandalorians. I mean, that whole angle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that can sort of take us back to the prequel side of things, but sort of show where those characters have kind of gone.
Nick, you know what happened to the Mandalorians? They turned into this awesome race of people.
That's right.
Who the Jedi even fear.
That's right. Everybody
you know
did.
that, Nick.
Yeah, but then a few weeks later they were crazy, but then they were awesome
But then
again.
they were good.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You know, if for no other reason than that, that's like, okay, EU. There you go.
Let's not do it.
Let's just not do that.
Yeah, let's just not go to let's not go to the Karen travesty.
Yeah,
exactly.
Travesty.
There you go. Poor lady.
Yeah, I definitely like to see some kind of connection we have between, Sadine and I just blanked her name. Mandalorian, Obi-Wan's
Satine.
Satine.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Duchess
Sabine?
Satine.
Yeah, Duchess Satine. And her younger sister. I'm just wondering if the one played by Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's kind of, their names kind of sound similar, so I'm just wondering if there is some kind of family lineage
Some
or
connection.
something, because she would have been a little, Sabine would have been a little kid, super young.
Yeah, because I wonder how old Sabine is supposed to be, because she sort of seems, late teens is probably a bit young. She seems maybe sort of early 20s-ish. Old enough that she could be like, oh, hey, I'm a level 5 at the academy, and the Imperial lady would buy it. So that's sort of that age range. So like you say, John, that'd
20.
So that'd put her, what, about, if this is 5 years before episode 4, and episode 4 was somewhere around 19 years, so then this is about 14 years, if my math is right, after Revenge of the Sith. And so if she's about 20, let's say, then she was about 6, in the time of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would have been around then, some maybe.
That's good head math.
Yeah, I'm surprised I pulled that off, given my mathematical atrocities. I'm a travesty at math.
Yeah,
A Karen travesty.
Go all day with that.
Yes, we could. So let's start. No, I'm kidding.
How many hours do you have?
Exactly. I don't know. I can't tell. I can't do the math on it.
You guys were pretty late last time.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... and normally we'd split it up, but we've been talking like it's the last episode. You can't take the last episode and make it the second to last episode, the last episode, so it had to be the last episode. So, but you
could always deceive Sabine.
That's true. We could be all crafty Mandalorian-y.
Yeah.
But I don't think we would look as adorable in the Mandalorian armor as Sabine does.
No.
Wouldn't be as professional.
That's also true. Yeah.
Right.
That's very true. And you don't want to see me with explosives.
Or a fork.
For that matter.
Hasn't been to fork school. Or knife school or any utensil school.
That's right.
Nick's not good with them.
I'd be like Ezra. It's like, don't trust him with anything. Just let him go chase after the baby Wookiee.
Yes, I'm still puzzled about that. Instead of going towards his mother, he
runs away. It's like, come on, Wookiee kid. Get it together. Come back with your family. But it did give Ezra a chance to sort of do the Kanan thing, the Jedi thing, right, and be selfless. Which was, I know that was more in the first episode, but this sort of notion of Ezra fighting with himself, that he's got that instinct of, I just want to take care of myself and stay out of trouble and keep my head low, but then he seems to find that for whatever reason, he just has to do stuff to help people. And
that's something I was going to ask. Jonathan, have you read the A New Dawn book?
I have not, but I know Nicki, she's read it, or at least part of it.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like what Nick's saying, there's a lot of, I'm going to take care of myself, because, this is at a point where he hasn't outed to anybody that he's a Jedi, and he is kind of at that point, he's a real roughneck. But I haven't read the whole book. I've just read the very beginning of it, but I really dig that book. It's really good, and it's really good.
I've heard.
It's a really good prepper for this show, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I heard there's a lot of character development and stuff between her and Kanan, and I do hope we get some of those. I wonder if it'd be definitely cool if we got another one of those kind of moments where Chopper walks in on Hera and Kanan, you know.
Ooh la
It's just-
la.
It's just like the little kid to walk in.
Yeah.
Walking in on the parents. And it's funny because the show proper, all we've got is Hera calling Kanan love a few times.
Yeah.
But then outside the show proper, we've got, the interviews with like Simon Kinberg where he's talking about like the two of them are the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had it was in one of the shorts, was it not, where you see them almost kiss.
Was it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, let's see, it was when Kanan, when he was in one gun turret.
Yeah, and then Hera was in the pilot's up front piloting the Ghost, and Chopper was sending messages back and forth. Wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he got fed up, and then he finally used the gun turret.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I wonder when the show, officially will be like, hey, guess what? They're an item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, are you okay over there?
Yeah, it's just an alarm.
He just bounced up off his seat twice.
That's right. He's happy as a schoolboy.
Yes. I like Chopper, just kind of up and down.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and I think Chopper is just this, this little guy who's just, kind of grumpy, just kind of grumpy, trying to, help them out, I mean.
It's like he likes them, but he doesn't like them sort of thing almost, or just like he's always fed up with them.
Right.
Kind of like the reluctant R2.
Yeah, exactly. Like the R2 that's even more spunky.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, that's what I thought was funny. Like when they're fighting, it's like Chopper there's got kind of some, like he's like, I'm feisty. And R2's like, no.
It's like, son,
I'm going to show you who's feisty.
Yeah. I win this battle.
I win. I've been feisty for 3 movies and a whole TV show.
Mm-hmm. What you got? You got Spark of Rebellion. That's all you got. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up with this? But yeah, it was good though to see Chopper's spunkiness. And yeah, the moment when he keeps tapping Ezra, I know you mentioned it earlier, Jonathan, but yeah, that was it's like that was funny.
That was funny.
Because it really was just like, because at first I didn't know that it was some kind of diversion-y sort of thing. I just thought that was Chopper, and I think it still probably is. Like I think
probably, at least partially.
Yeah, it's like even if they weren't doing it on purpose, I could see him doing that just to do it. So it's kind of funny because droids are created to be servants, to be subservient. And here's one that, again, much like R2, is like, well, I'm not going to do what you tell me to if I think it's dumb.
Yeah. I do what I want.
That's right. And 3PO will complain, but do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to go outside, but he'll do it. It's which is funny because, this is the episode where they're like, they talk about, let's put restraining bolts on those droids.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, it's like, that's messed up.
Right.
I mean, that's like, make them a slave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of goes back to another part where it's like, the Empire is like, only, humans.
Yeah.
And I think that partly also goes back to, the droids are going in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
The
back of the bus. I mean, really.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the thing that is never addressed in Star Wars, but it
among
is.
Other things, and we've talked about
exactly.
Those
Yes, we have. But
on and off podcast.
On and off the air, exactly. But this really is kind of like one of those things. And I know we were making fun of Fincher earlier, but I do think that there is some small part in which he's onto something that what nobody talks about is these droids seem to be self-aware,
right.
And yet they don't have free, they don't have their freedom.
Yeah.
At least very, very few of them do. So, I mean, at some point, is there going to be the Great Droid Rebellion? Yeah, the Great Droid Uprising at some point. Or is that something that... Wouldn't it be neat if we got to episode 7 and come to find out that droids had been freed?
Yeah.
I mean, just sort of randomly that it's like once, the New Republic, presumably there will be some kind of New Republic, had gotten started, that's one thing that they did.
Yeah.
That
would be
sort of
cool.
neat. Or it's got to be a thing where they're going to have to kill off all the droids and outlaw computers, and then they will have to get the spice.
Right.
You can't coordinate, calculate coordinates for the Nava computer if there's no Nava computer.
The worms.
Fold space.
Yeah. Not the worms. What are those things? The things inside the...
Yeah,
like,
the jars.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, those things.
The navigators.
Yeah.
I got your Dune right here.
Yeah, yeah, I know Dune.
I knew this. Oh, Chopper.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, so it's really, as far as moments go, it was really like that beginning moment where he was tapping Ezra, and then the other moment is when Zeb. So really, my two favorite characters are having like my two favorite moments. At the end, when he's having that staff battle,
Right? Yeah,
it was really only Zeb is just such a like a strong, like beefy guy that anyone else taking that shock from that thing would have been knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
Because he's like I looked it up. He's like 6'9" or something, Zeb.
Yeah.
And he's big buff. But yeah, like any of the other characters, Cutlass, putting that, thing in his back would have been knocked out cold, if not like in a coma or something. So.
And it was, and I know some people talked about this on the Force.net message boards, but it was refreshing. It was good from a going forward plot tension standpoint that Callus was able to defeat Zeb. I mean, that even though Zeb is this big, hulking, massive, strong dude, that Callus was able to be victorious, in their one-on-one. And it goes to show that these villains really are powerful, and our heroes really are fighting against, desperate odds. And that's fun. I always wanted to fight an incredible battle against desperate odds.
Speaking of the Force.net message boards, right quick, what is like the general consensus on this show compared to the Clone Wars?
From what I can tell, and I didn't look too deeply, and Jonathan, you can tell me if you've looked on there or not, but from what I've been able to see, is there does seem to be more optimism than the beginning of Clone Wars. The beginning of Clone Wars, they were all this is Dookie.
Yeah.
Whereas, there are a lot of people, there was a lot of comments about people enjoying aspects of the episode, because I specifically looked at the one for this episode. People were talking about they liked the Bail Organa moment, they liked the 3PO Chopper duking it out.
Good.
They enjoyed the way that Sabine misled them. So there really were a lot of positive comments. And some of the negative comments that I saw, again, I don't remember them specifically, but I remember observing and thinking that these are the sorts of comments that people who gotta hate are going to make. It's the kind of the haters comments. The things that if you want to just be unhappy. And there was one, it bothered me that I can't remember what it was, but it was something about, they better not start doing X, but like I said, I can't remember what it is. I may have to try to start, checking out the boards, not necessarily commenting, but at least sort of checking out and seeing what people are saying. And, maybe we can kind of do a wasting my hate sort of segment, again, where we talk about all the what people are raging about on the Force.net.
Therapy session. Yeah,
exactly. Let's get it all out, people. Let's deal with it, and let's move past it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you guys saw that Hulu ad a while back, but it was like a thing where all the villains are British.
Oh yeah. It's like a car commercial or
Jaguar
something.
Commercial,
Yeah, exactly. Why do they always cast the Brits? Yeah.
Or Jaguar. You ever notice how some people say Jaguar? Some people say Jaguar.
Yeah.
Like why?
Jaguar.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's too many syllables. That's Jaguar.
Well, it's the Star Wars thing. It's the Han, Falcon.
Naboo.
Yeah, it's that thing.
Grievous. No.
Yeah, I kind of get this thing where some people, they just want to say it just to be.
Yeah,
just to be kind of snooty.
It's like aluminum and aluminium.
Yeah,
Oh, look at this aluminium can.
Herb and herb.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm going to have some herbs. I'm going to have some herbs. Well, you might want to tell Herb that. He doesn't seem very excited about it. But yeah, it's tomatoes.
Yeah.
We're going to have some fresh green tomatoes. But is it pecans? Is it pecans? See, we're Southern, Jonathan, and we still call them pecans.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think people from way inner Georgia may say pecans.
right in the core of Georgia. There's
like the people that they based all the accents off of
in Forrest Gump. Yeah, can't sit here, seats taken, because we don't talk that way. Can't sit here, seats taken by my friend who has the pecan pie. So I declare, no, stop that. Anyway, so Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels.
Yeah. I mean, growing up in like North Carolina, I did hear some accents,
Yeah.
but a lot deeper kind of Southern accents. But I think we all kind of speak on.
Yeah, because you're kind of on the border. 'Cause my father-in-law lives in North Carolina, and we go up there every once in a while to visit. Usually once about every 18 months, it seems like. He comes down here more often. But anyway, so yeah, you're up there, and you could tell it's like there's a little bit of southernness, but not nearly as much.
And like here, it's varied too.
It really is.
Like, I mean, we live in central Alabama. And but if you go, from where I live, like if you go, maybe 10 miles south.
Oh my.
Oh, it gets bad. It's like, I mean, it seriously gets like Texas Chainsaw Massacre bad.
In terms of the accents.
Yeah. Well, and in some cases,
I went to Birmingham like almost 10 years ago, like on a mission trip, and I just remember the heat.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
And the people say it's not the heat, it's the humidity. Well, that's true because the humidity is bad.
Yeah, the humidity's horrible.
I mean, it really makes it uncomfortable. I know George Carlin used to make fun of that, and people saying, "Oh, it's a dry heat." He's like, a blowtorch is a dry heat too, but I'm not going to put it up to my face. And while George was correct on that, the point is that it still is the case that if the less humidity there is, the more tolerable the heat is.
Yeah.
But it's like today, this is October and it was like 87 degrees, which even for us, that's unusually warm, but still it's,
it did not feel good outside today for October.
I wonder if Lothal is kind of, it seems like it'd be like low 70s,
mid,
good way to upper 60s. You like that? That's good.
Like that.
Rebels, man. Yeah, it feels like that planet's probably like, upper 60s, low 70s.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Here's a segment.
What's the weather on this planet this week?
What do you think the average temperature is on Bespin?
Very
above
gassy.
or below the clouds.
That's right.
Very gassy.
Very gassy.
Right.
It's a very low visibility. I bet Tatooine is hot. I'm just going to guess, and I'm pretty sure that Hoth might be cold.
Oh boy.
I know.
Hoth.
Hoth, yeah, Hoth.
Hoth.
Where you go? I'm going over to Hoth.
I'm going to go to the Hoth to see the Wampus.
The Wampus. I'm going to get on...
A Tan.
Tan.
Yes, I definitely look forward to more varied planets, because these last two episodes, the planet has been almost... The reason I got mixed up with the episode is that the planet just looks so similar.
Yeah. It did, yeah.
Yeah,
so
the city was pretty, like the planet they went to,
right,
where they were sort of at night, where Paul Rubens dropped them off. But still, yeah, that was one thing I think we got spoiled in the Clone Wars is
like every episode
you're a different planet, and the art style and the design was radically different. Yeah. And the reality is that part of this sort of sameness that you're talking about, Jonathan, could be construed as a plot point that the Empire sort of homogenizing everything. Yeah. Everything's modular and it's got to be sort of conformed to certain specifications, and so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I'm with you though. It'll be nice to see some varying locations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely like to see some like really cold worlds or really hot world.
Because they really haven't done just like a tropical rainforest kind of just it's hot. Because Tatooine, like we talked about, was warm, but they weren't really talking about like, oh my, it's so hot out here. So it'd be kind of neat to do something like that. I think it'd also be neat to revisit worlds from the Clone Wars.
Yes,
and sort of see what they look like in this style. Like, would Mandalore look like?
Run by the Empire.
Yeah, and visualized in the Rebels art style.
Yeah,
I think that'd be kind of neat to see. So I do hope we get to return to some places. And I wonder if Jar Jar's still alive.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what the Empire's thoughts are on Gungans.
Yeah, it's true. They may want them all dead, or they may love them because it was Jar Jar that gave Sidious, gave Palpatine the army. So,
Jar Jar may be sitting pretty in the Empire.
He's like, Mr. Propose, you get me a drink. Because he's got a bunch of servants.
Yeah, I can only imagine, though. I mean, 'cause, like, you know, Jar Jar, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic, like, character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, like, the most, like, iconic character in the Empire. You know, like, he was, I was still hearing. Well, we don't want to go into that. Let's not even go into it. I was about to bring it up, but I'm just.
Jonathan's self-editing now. That's good. You need to teach us that skill. One day.
For real.
One thing I thought was interesting is that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just didn't notice the C-3PO's, legs, but in this episode, he has a silver leg. Did he have that in the prequels or the other films?
He did in the original
4.
Yeah, in episode 4, he's got the shin area there is silver.
Okay,
it's not crazy overly noticeable. It's because it's not like I'm perfectly shiny gold and this part's.
It wasn't as noticeable
silver.
as it was here.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that's a part of it. In fact, some of the the C-3PO toys that have existed over the years have had that. And some of the Christmas ornaments.
It was more of a cash in. It was like, here's 3PO with a silver leg.
Look into this. Because
and the extra rare one is when it's the other leg.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
And some kids like, this is bull malarkey. That is the wrong leg. But yeah, because we've got a couple of R2-D2 C-3PO Christmas ornaments, like the Hallmark ones, and one of them, that silver part is very prominently silver. But yeah, I mean, it's always been there, but just like Josh said, more noticeable here than in the.
I think that's just because it's animation. When animation, everything is a lot more
stylized, and yeah.
Now, in episode 5, it was gone, wasn't it? Because after he got his, shiny gold plating in episode 4.
Yeah, I want to say that's right. Yeah, by the time, once we get into Empire and Jedi, he gets dirty again a little bit, but he's still all golden.
Yeah.
Golden.
He just can't catch a break.
He really can't, And I wonder if they ever, can you undo a memory wipe? And if so, did they ever do it? And just when episode 7 rolls around, we see 3PO. Is 3PO going to have been able to remember growing up, being born on Tatooine, all of that? Because, how random would it be a conversation between Luke and 3PO about Luke's daddy?
Yeah, if he could tell him about it. Yeah. That's cool.
I hope that's the case, that it's like the memory wipe just prevented 3PO from accessing the memories. It didn't delete them, per se.
And part of the episode, you hear in the background C-3PO saying, "I worked for," and then that cuts off. And at the end of the episode, he's like, I just blanked. I just blanked out.
Bail Organa.
Bail Organa. He's like, "You didn't tell them about me." He's like, "Of course not, sir." So did C-3PO just lie, or I'm not quite sure what happened there? Because,
yeah.
Or what did he tell in that earlier part of the episode? What did he say?
Yeah.
I'm the owner of...
Yeah, maybe he just made something up. And when... Yeah, when... I am in the possession of Master Jar Jar Binks. Imagine that. Imagine Jar Jar and 3PO hanging out together. That would be wild.
C-3O. C-3O.
It's C-3O. We want you to watch TV with me. Oh, I don't want to. And then R2's like, I'm just going to shock them both. But, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, because at the end of Sith, it seems like Bail Organa's in charge, right? Because he tells Captain Antilles, take these droids, clean them up, have the protocol droids mind wiped. So it seems like Bail Organa is the boss.
Yeah.
But then by the time episode 4 rolls around, our last master was Captain Antilles. But we also have to remember that episode 4 3PO is not to be trusted, because episode 4 3PO was written when the idea that George Lucas had was shady used car salesman liar.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you don't necessarily know what to make of episode 4 3PO.
Yeah.
Because there are times in that movie where he lies,
Yeah.
When, the part about the message. You remember that? Because he's like, he seems to pick up a bit of a slight flutter or something like that. Oh, there's no message. And then Luke leaves. And he's like, you reconsider playing that message for him. So it's like 3PO knew that he still had access to the message. So, I don't know. But
I did like the part another great moment in the episode was when, let's see what you have on these rebels. So, he puts one of those little cards in, and I guess it's one of those downloadable, because it looks like in episode 4 when Leia put the little card in, it was like a recorder, recorded the card,
put the card in there,
card slot. Yeah, SD card.
Star Destroyer card. Oh no.
So in this case, it was like a recording of. Let's see what they said.
Yeah, I figured it was just kind of like, I wonder if R2 just kind of, it was whatever he was seeing, like he recorded audio visual of everything. And so now this gives Bail Organa a chance to really kind of get to know these people, and to get to know these people in a situation in which they didn't know they were being watched.
Yeah.
So he can really get a sense of who they really are.
Mm-hmm. Because I imagine I imagine that's probably part of the rebellion's kind of their side job, or side quest, like to find Jedi. Like, are there any who escaped the purge? Because we could really use them right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
And
because they seem kind of excited when they get Luke,
Yeah.
We got one.
Ghostbusters reference
number 1,
2, actually.
2. Oh yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, and 2, I wonder if that's something that by the time episode 4 rolls around, and let's say, Kanan does become some kind of prominent Jedi in the rebellion, I wonder if that's something Luke knows about.
Yeah.
Like if it's, reached that far.
Yeah.
And he knew about some more Jedi that were out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting that this whole sort of how many Jedi were out there, how far do they get, that whole question is just wide open.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yeah. Something to think about.
Something to think about.
Yeah, I did like the part where it's like, so Kanan didn't really reveal himself as a Jedi, but he did see that Bail Organa did give a Jedi kind of quote.
Yeah.
And he's like, isn't that a Jedi?
Yeah.
And he just kind of needs to kind of keep it, we kind of had this little moment here. Now you guys need to kind of scurry off,
And I wonder if Bail Organa said that because, at this point, he's talked to R2 and 3PO a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's been much, right? So is this a matter of Bail Organa sort of having a suspicion that Kanan might be a Jedi? Has Bail Organa heard about Kanan from when he, showed himself to be a Jedi in the premiere? Or is it like, I'm pretty sure I recognize that kid.
That's quite possible.
From back in the day.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty neat too. Yeah. So.
Okay, is there any other thoughts you guys have?
Thoughts. When I watched it and I messaged Josh, well, I think you and I were both talking to Josh, and we were talking about how we can watch it or something. But so Josh watched it, and messaged me, just text messaged me, and was like, would you say this show is ridiculously stupid awesome or something like that?
Yeah.
I forgot how you put it exactly, but
this show kicks so much tail it's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Where we come from, so it's like one of us said, I think in the last episode, it really feels like Star Wars.
It does.
The Clone Wars felt like Star Wars, and this feels like Star Wars, even though they feel differently, because the Star Wars, each original trilogy film and each prequel trilogy film, felt different slightly, but they all felt Star Wars-ish. But this really, it's got that fun vibe. It's got this, again, fusion of the old and the new. It's very good. And this episode just made me want them to keep making more, and I'm glad that we've got, again, 2 seasons worth, pretty much guaranteed. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I can't wait to see more.
Now just give me some more Darth Vader and some Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's really interesting though that they decided to do a primetime special on ABC.
Yeah, they're really trying to push it.
That reminds me of back in the day when they had the Batman animated series. And Batman animated series was I can't remember if it started out as a Saturday morning cartoon. Well, I know it came on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
But it may have been
a weekday.
A week-long thing. But one way or the other, it was in a kids block. But then they showed one episode. It was actually, I think, Robin's origin story, I believe. Yeah. And I remember as a kid thinking, man, that's cool. That, and even then I could tell, okay, what they're doing is they know that this show is a little bit above, just the kid level. And, and adults can enjoy this too. And it's okay, we'll stick this on primetime on ABC
and see what happens. Yeah. And I think people will like it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. And I think there are people that perhaps didn't really enjoy the prequels and might have even thought that why is George Lucas making a cartoon show? Because I had some adults that when the Clone Wars was announced and it was getting close enough to the release that there were commercials and stuff, and so they knew about it, and they knew I was a huge Star Wars fan, and they were like, Nick, what's up with this cartoon thing? Shouldn't George Lucas just stop? And I'm like, no, he should not.
Should not stop.
But I think that if they liked the original trilogy, they actually would kind of enjoy that. So I think it, like I say, it's a smart move, and I think it just goes to show that it does seem like, at least early on, it seems like they've really put together something good here. So it's definitely good stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree, guys. It's definitely, as we've been hearing, for a while, all this different kind of content of taking place between the two trilogies. I mean, originally we heard about the live action show, and then, I think that, of course, it's on the shelf.
Right.
50 scripts, so I think, this is a huge it's a big galaxy, and, I definitely, like we've said before, not to use, them as a crutch, but kind of these other characters we know as a crutch, but kind of callbacks, little sprinkled here and there. Kind of make it sprinkle, because it's like when C-3PO and R2 come in, they're like, wow,
Yeah. And it's one of those things, too, where it like you say, you don't want to use it as a crutch, but on the other hand, it would only make sense that sometimes some of these characters would show up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to not do it makes it unnaturally, artificially disconnected from what came before, and it shouldn't be that way either.
Well, I made the comment earlier about we didn't get our Avengers quote in here, or our Avengers reference in here. It's like that's the thing. I think that this show is somehow they are doing it in a more clever way by having those characters show up and stuff than something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I think part of that is because they actually show the characters.
Right. They don't just talk about them.
Yeah.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you really need to do that because, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's kind of a thing where it's like, we have to do this because otherwise all this show would feel like to the regular everyday viewer is just some guys in suits doing stuff.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have any clue that this is connected to the Marvel Universe unless you were a fan.
Yeah.
With Rebels, you wouldn't necessarily have to put those characters in there for it to still feel like a Star Wars show.
You got big old Star Destroyers.
Yeah, you got Star Destroyers and TIE Fighters.
It's pretty well there.
But when you do that, when you put those characters in there, there is this kind of this thing you can actually metaphorically touch. You can see this thing. Okay, this is definitely connected. There's no question about it because of this. It's like I think we've talked about it before, but with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., in my opinion, if every, maybe once a season, one of the main Avengers, guest stars, I think that would help that show a lot.
Yeah.
But, not to be, completely, comparing the two, but I'm just saying that I think Rebels does it in a much more clever way than, most of those shows do. Like we were talking about before we started the podcast about Gotham. And Gotham does the same thing that Avengers does, and it's like, show me this stuff.
Right. Don't just wink, wink, nudge, nudge me to death.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
There you go.
I agree. And I think a great thing about animation, just in general, is you can just do so much.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, it's easier, it's like if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was drawn, we could just draw Captain America in.
Exactly. That's a great point, Jonathan, because that's like what I was talking about with Shadows of the Empire. That's something that, if they wanted to make canon, they could make it happen very easily, because all you've got to do is either get a sound-alike, for the characters, because Luke was a prominent character in that story, and so were all the rest of the people except for Han, because he was in Carbonite. But, you can just draw those people, and get a sound-alike, or, if the original cast wants to come in and do it like James Earl Jones is doing with Darth Vader, you can. It's a lot easier, or at least I would think, a lot easier to do it in animation rather than live action.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot to talk about, a lot going forward, even as the Clone Wars, we're still getting, we got the Legacy, that kind of partial still. So that might, even as we get Rebels, I wouldn't be surprised if that some of that kind of seeps in. We kind of get it here and there.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for this week. So where can we find you guys?
Well, for all things Josh and Nick Inner Dorkdom related, www.innerdorkdom.com. And Josh, how can they email us?
At theinnerdorkdom@gmail.com.
Yes, that's right. And check us out on the Twitter and the Facebook. And yeah.
All right. Well, you can find Nicki at iHeartColson. She's on the Twitter, and someone else helps her tweet and stuff about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff. So she was into that show. She is. And you can follow me at JEBell49er and at Radio Free Indoor, which Nicki also uses, and we both post on the Facebook page, and just whenever there's kind of stuff going on. So for Nicki, I'm Jonathan,
and I'm Josh,
and I'm Nick,
and thanks for listening.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.